Hey guys, Steeple here. I just want to point out there's a flag available in the shop right now for free. A lot of people have been asking about the flags and how to get them, so there's your chance. It's an early adopter flag. It's available, I believe, till July 1st, so go ahead and grab that, put them on your ships. And just a little bit of a housekeeping note before I get rolling. Yesterday, Wargaming kind of goofed up and made the weekly challenges for the Atlanta campaign available for 24 hours. So if you played a lot yesterday, you could have ground out a bunch of points, enough points to actually skip those two challenges that people are having trouble with. And then the challenges reset again overnight, and now the regular weekly challenges are available. So I think it's like a 250 points potentially or something you could have gotten yesterday. And I'm not pointing that out to rub it in if you didn't notice that or weren't able to complete a lot of the points, but why I'm saying that is I thought about it right before I went to bed. I was thinking, oh, I should have put that on Twitter. That would have been really helpful. But, I have a Twitter account for the channel. I've never really used it that much. I had it set up for when I used to stream a lot, but never really, like I said, did much with it. So I'm going to try and use it more now for like news and stuff like that to keep you guys in the loop. So if you're interested, it's down in the link below. And we'll just jump right into it. So the Indianapolis, it's a Tier 6 American Premium Cruiser. It's been pumping out cash, by the way. So the service cost on Tier 6 is like 101,000. A lot of games. I've played, I guess, probably 5 or 6 games, and I've been getting, 300-400 credits per game. So if you subtract the service cost, it's probably 250, 300 plus, per game that you could potentially be getting. So, assuming you have a semi-decent game, it's actually a very profitable ship to play, which is the main reason I needed it. And these tiered 6 and 7 ships, those are the guys that are that far along in your grinds. No, those are very expensive. So I got a lot of ships to unlock and upgrade, and no credits to do it. So that's why I got it. But it plays a lot like the New Orleans, which I really like that ship. I like the American cruiser line in general. And this one's stats-wise, it's very similar to the New Orleans. There's a couple of minor differences here and there, but so those are both American heavy cruisers, and heavy cruisers, it's kind of a premium on switching your shell type situationally. Now you want to be doing that on all your ships, but these AP rounds in these heavy cruisers are very effective at long range even, so you want to be keeping an eye on potential targets. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I did want to talk about the history briefly of the Indianapolis. I looked it up after I bought the ship, actually, and it was... Now, if you guys have seen Jaws, Quint, that fisherman, he talks about being on the Indianapolis, and I've seen that movie, 50 times growing up. I never really realized that was an actual... the part where they're drinking and talking about the scars from this and the scars from that. And then he says he's got like a tattoo that was removed, and it was from the USS Indianapolis. And what he talks about was actually historically accurate, which I didn't realize. That ship, it transported parts of the, I think it was the Little Boy bomb, one of the 2 nuclear bombs that were used in World War II. And then after that it was sunk, and then a lot of the crew members were just floating around in the water, and there was like 1,000 sharks or something like that, and apparently it was a pretty gruesome scene. There was a lot of casualties due to shark attacks, so just a little historical tidbit there, and I guess movie trivia tidbit. But you can see here, I mean, this New Orleans close range, what was it, 4 citadels the first time, 3 there. It's a very effective shell. Even long range, if you have a broadside cruiser, playing American cruisers in general, Pensacola, New Orleans, Baltimore, and now this Indianapolis, their AP shells are very effective long range. So if you're if you have a cruiser that's presenting a broadside target, you just take the time to switch your shells back and forth, put it on AP. And here's the other instance that you can see I have a radar deployed here. It's a Tier 6 radar ship, which is awesome. Now that radar, I just used it there. I was trying to spot that destroyer. It's got about a 9-kilometer range on this thing. And it's a very short duration, so you want to be using your radar when you're pretty damn sure you know where the destroyer is. You just want them to become visible, because you can see now it's got quite a long cooldown, and it's a very valuable consumable. But like if a destroyer is sitting in smoke, for instance, you can deploy the radar. He'll become visible on your screen and on the map. Now this ship is not a particularly fast firing ship, so you want to for sure have your HE shells loaded before you deploy the radar. And if you're playing in like a division, or if you're using voice comms, you'd typically want to announce that you're about to do it, and then hopefully get some focus fire from your teammates. I play with the mics muted just for sanity purposes, but you know, a lot of people don't. So that's how, I mean, this ship can sink a destroyer. It's just, the 20 seconds that you have the radar on, if it's like a full health destroyer, you're gonna have a really hard time sinking it with just this ship firing at it. So just something to point out there. And then with these American heavy cruisers, their armor is actually somewhat surprisingly very effective for a cruiser. So if you're pointing your nose at the incoming fire, you're going to be bouncing and breaking a lot of shots. And I'm not saying go toe-to-toe with an Iowa and try and trade shots with them even properly angled, but against enemy cruisers, they're going to have a really hard time damaging you if you're angled properly. A lot of cruiser play lower tiers I don't really bother to angle, just because the play is a little sloppier down there. I'm not saying I don't bother to angle, but I don't put as high of a premium on it. But higher tiers, tier 6 and 7 matches, if you're not angled properly, you're going to be back at the dock in no time. So these heavy cruisers, American, you're going to be most effective if you're using islands for cover, angling properly, and switching your shells actively. Those are kind of the key takeaways for this. And kind of a consideration to keep in mind when you're angling armor is a lot of people are, myself included, the inclination is you want to fire all of your guns every time you shoot, right? Because that's how you're going to put out the most damage. But it's always better to stay alive and put out less damage in one particular salvo, because if you're alive, then you can put out another salvo. Like, here we got 3 turrets on this ship, for instance, okay? So if I go full broadside and fire 3 shots, and then I'm killed by a couple citadels, I was able to fire 3 times, right? Now if I stay at this angle here and I fire 2 shots, 2 shots, 2 shots, 2 shots, it doesn't take very long for me to put out more damage, you know, just by merely staying alive. So I guess maybe I shouldn't have said that about lower tiers earlier. It's important to play well all the time, I guess, you know. And just because you can get away with something with playing sloppily doesn't mean you should, you know. And I guess lower tiers is a great place to work on your game too, so there's really no reason to not properly angle your ship ever. So try and get in the habit of doing that. Like this Alba here, he's at a good angle there, so I'm going to switch over to HE, right? Ooh. Luckily, those shots were going to do anything. Otherwise, I'd feel bad about blocking them. But you know, he's opening up. So if I had AP loaded there, he'd be dead. You know, he had a sequence where he kept weaving back and forth and kept giving me broadsides, and that's why he died. All he had to do was sail directly away from me, keep his gun silent. He would have dropped off my vision, and he'd still be available to shoot back, you know, in a different situation. So, I mean, armor angling is I think it's probably, you know, it's intellectually it's easy to grasp. Okay, let's angle our armor, but putting it in practice takes a lot of work. So definitely work on that. And that's really all I got for this one here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, well, consider subscribing. There's plenty more World of Warships coming down the pipe all the time. Questions, comments about the ship, or anything in general, please leave them below. I'd love to hear from you guys. And we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.